All right, Ashley Walden from the New York State Olympic Regional Development Authority, President and CEO, joins us. Ashley, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
So of course, you have the audit come out regarding the finances for the Regional Development Authority. I guess your first glance at it, if you can, and broadly, when it comes to reviewing the finances right now and what kind of place you're in from your perspective as the head of this organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So every year we do an annual audit. We work with an auditing firm from New York State, and it's an independent audit. So this year, third year in a row that there's no management notes, which means clean audit, which means we've got good practices, good checks and balances, and the overall financial health of the organization is strong. So we were happy, obviously, with those results. And from the close of a fiscal year, we saw record-breaking revenue and visitation, which means a lot of the investments from the state and the legislator that those are continued to show and to show the growth over year over year.
Can you speak a little bit more to the impact those investments have had when it comes to your infrastructure, when it comes, obviously, the properties and things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. So these investments are that have happened over the past really 5, 6 years have taken the 1980 Olympic venues and modernized them to get them up to international standards, modern day international standards. What that has allowed us to do is to continue to sustain that Olympic legacy and also continue to welcome athletes, guests to the venues for years to come. So we're really investing in the future of the regions that we operate in.
When it comes to the impact they have on the other end, right? When it comes to revenue, when it comes to you mentioned some of those numbers you had when it came to the visitors, things, where does that, I guess, are you seeing the dividends? What happens because of that on the other side?
For sure. So a lot of these modernizations have also allowed us to expand to be a year-round operation. So that certainly has driven the visitation. We're seeing over 1 million visitors each year to our venues, and that's driving the increase in revenue as well. So it's really taken us from this very seasonal venue operation to a full year-round operation.
How much of an emphasis has there been on bringing events there because of maybe some of these investments?
It's a balance. So we have more demand to host events than we actually have ability to accommodate. So we really evaluate the events that we host from a sport impact. We look at our mission and we try and see where these events fit in, and also with the eye on fiscal responsibility. So we have a focus on events, sports and events and programs, and ensure that they really align with our mission and where we're headed for the future.
Obviously, we're talking about some finances here, an audit. How much of a weight do the events to put them on, to staff them? How much do they have that piece of the pie when it comes to your expenses at the end of the day?
Sure. So some of the events, they vary in size and in scope. Some take more of our resources, both from a personnel and a financial standpoint than others. Certainly the larger World Championships event, those could take more of our resources, but overall, they're just a small part of our overall expense and operation.
How do you know they're worth it?
Um, it's a great question. Well, we track the economic impact of what we do, and our last economic impact report was done in 2023. We'll be doing another one this upcoming year, and it's showing that we have over $341 million in economic impact to the regions, and those events play a part in that. So we are, confident that it is important not only to keep Lake Placid in the region on the map from an international standpoint, but also it's helping to keep the venues active from an athlete training standpoint as well.
Within the authority, are you attracting the people, the athletes through these events that you have projected out so far?
Yeah, so we definitely are, and we're helping to grow a lot of these sport programs so that they continue to not only host a high level international event, but we also work with a lot of our sport partners on recruitment and development of the athletes so that we're seeing year round a lot of these athletes are coming through. They're not just coming for an event; they're here training. But again, it's a very, very important piece of what we do, but it's not all that we do. We obviously keep the venues open for guests that are not related to sport, just for those that will be here in the area that from a recreation standpoint, or they want to come and see some of the Olympic venues. And what creates a great opportunity is that we have athletes that are training. So at the same time that somebody could be coming here with their family to see an event or really just to look at the venues and some of the attractions that we have, they're also interacting with the athletes, and it helps build that Olympic legacy.
Someone who might look at this audit might go to a couple of the lines that you see and see a net loss of $50
Sure.
million in 2025, a growth from 2024, about 3 or 4 million. What do you make of that number? How do you explain that?
Yeah, so it's a bit misleading because that's not from a cash or like a P&L standpoint. What that is there's a lot that goes into it. The biggest increase that we've seen is that our building assets have doubled over the past couple of years. So as soon as we add more assets or increased assets, those get depreciated, and that depreciation is being spread out over a number of years. And so that gets accounted into the operating loss that you would see at the bottom line. But the story is actually much different from a single fiscal year and a cash standpoint. We have seen, with the growth in visitation and the growth in revenue, we've really seen the financial stability increase, and that's something we're very proud of.
Is there a number you put on that? Is there a place to find what you could maybe consider? I think it was said the Olympic Authority excludes these non-cash expenses when evaluating its true operating performance, if I got that right. So what is the true operating performance then?
Yeah, so the true operating performance that we would see is that each year we try and have a balanced budget, and this year we were just above that balanced budget. So that's our target. We work within those, and again, we are just seeing that there's tremendous financial stability within the organization.
Yeah, and I think you read through that in the audit. It does talk about fiscal health and also the fact there is no debt, right, that you can speak to right now. Is that true? Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, that is true. There's been a lot of work to ensure, that again, that financial stability. There is currently no debt within the organization, and our plans, again, are to continue to not have debt and to grow from a cash flow standpoint as well.
Just one more on the net loss concept, because because I think it's important for people to understand. I guess I know it's hard because it's a very accounting based. If you don't have an accounting degree, it might be difficult for the layman to kind of get. So,
Sure.
is that net loss something you eventually have to make up for, or when you're looking at a budget, why does it described as that at the end of the day?
Sure.
Kind of
It's a great question. And I think the easiest way for people to understand is that loss, particularly, the depreciation, that is not money exiting accounts or going out the door, right? That is an asset that we have on the books that is depreciating and lowering its value over time. And so that depreciation, that value needs to be accounted for, and that's what you're seeing. But it's not dollars leaving a bank account.
So hypothetically, if not that you're looking to do this or not, but if you were to, it's almost like if your house, I guess, goes lower in value, and you're going to sell the house, and that's how much you would lose if you sold the house. Do you look at, is it like that? Is that the
I
right?
think that's a fair way to put it, and that loss of value, right, is being spread out over years. So each year you'll see that, and the more that we invest and the more assets that we bring online, the higher that value asset will be, and the higher the depreciation will be spread out over the next couple of years because we're putting money into it, and it's being depreciated over those years.
Why isn't it going up in value? Is that just an accounting? Is that just I guess, because you look at, yeah, I guess, properties and you're investing in them, why wouldn't it go the other way?
So the actual property assessments that we have increased, right? So as those property assessments increase, so does the amount that is being depreciated over the years.
Okay. So what are the challenges right now? Obviously, we're living in a very interesting climate when it comes to the economic factors, when it comes to tourism. What are you seeing that you're facing as you look forward now at this point?
Sure. The biggest challenges that we face currently are from a workforce standpoint. We have more, particularly seasonal jobs available than we're able to fill. So sometimes we may have to limit operations based on that. We have housing is an issue for our employees. We operate in remote locations. So the overall number of workforce and the availability of housing for our workforce is a concern. We also, in our Adirondack region, we obviously are tracking Canadian visitation. That plays into, particularly in the winter at ski season, we do have quite a few Canadian guests, so that's something that we're tracking as well. Right now, our visitation is very stable with last year. We were off to a slower start, I think mostly due to the weather, the kind of late start to the summer, but those are the challenges that I don't think are uncommon with other businesses or organizations in the area, but the biggest ones that we're currently facing.
Do you see weather playing a long-term role here? Obviously, that it can change. You actually have to have the infrastructure to be able to provide for these events and tourists and just the people that come.
Yeah, there's been obviously a shift in winter, particularly winter weather and in summer weather to some extent. We've invested heavily in sustainable snowmaking infrastructure, and also the year-round operation allows us to make ourselves somewhat weatherproof. So we're continuing to do that so that we ensure for the ski mountains that we can open earlier or even on the same time, and do that more efficiently, and protect ourselves against weather, which none of us can control. So we're investing in our future in that way.
Yeah, when it comes to the year round, I think that's an interesting aspect. I think I saw mountain biking events. You have the investments in Mount Van Hovenberg, the indoors things there. I guess how much does that play? How much has it helped?
Well, it's really helped not only it's twofold. It's helped us so despite the weather, we do have opportunities and we have offerings for the guests when they're here. But also it brings different people to the area and to the venues that may not otherwise be there. If you're not a skier, you may not have gone to Whiteface before, but with the Memorial Highway, with the mountain biking events, with the gondola rides, there's a reason for people to visit those venues. In the summer, or if they're not a skier, in the winter, they're still able to do some of these activities. So those are important pieces that bring a different demographic and group to the venues, as well as protect us from times where the weather may not be cooperating with some of our operations.
When it comes to growth, are you looking at the state for more investments? Is that something that is consistent year by year, or do you play that year by year? Is it that kind of a basis?
Yeah, we're working on a comprehensive plan now that will set the path for the infrastructure. We do have a lot of aging infrastructure. There's been quite a bit of investment, but we need to make sure that we're maintaining that routinely so that we can protect those investments. So that's something that's really being looked at. We work very closely with our state partners on that, so that again we're maintaining and protecting those investments.
I know Italy ended up doing what they needed to do when it came to the Olympics coming up in 26 here. But what else is on your radar for the next event or the next, what you want to see when it comes to this authority and in terms of what you oversee?
Yeah, so we're always constantly looking to see what the next event would be that makes sense. There are some that we host annually. We don't have any. We are planning with the international federations that we work with. Some of them plan 2 years out, some of them plan further out. So we're getting our international schedules lined up and getting events on there, and looking towards the future to see what larger events might be possible.
All right, Ashley, we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks.